What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Screams in Sorrow. We are doing a very special episode today where we are going to check out the Nick Nocturnal Awards for 2023, go through them together, and John and I are going to talk about the bands and see which ones we're going to vote for. Now, disclaimer, we actually did this already, and if you go to the audio podcast on Spotify, you can hear it as it was intended. However, I wasn't recording the video by mistake. So we are going to redo the first four categories, kind of do a brief version of it, just go through it real quickly. And then I'll let you guys know when we're going to cut to where the conversation actually took place as it did in the podcast. So sorry about that, John. Sorry for keeping you a little bit later, but I want to make sure we get that video out. All right. So let's just do this quickly, man. Honestly, we talked about this already a lot. Breakdown of the year. We talked about what is the craziest breakdown, and we noted how there's a lot of bands on here that we do not know. But I think we called out Alt, The Orphan Breed. We called out Unprocessed Thrash, which I know was your pick. And we actually did a rock, paper, scissors because my pick was Jaluka from Venom, which if you guys haven't heard this electro goth Japanese metal band, you guys absolutely should. And for me, that was the reason why this one really stood out, because it was one that really made me feel like, holy shit, this is a breakdown. But you wanted on Process. Remind me why.
It was so unique on how they approached it, where it did that, they broke it into like this kind of clean guitar picking that you don't really hear coming out of a breakdown. And just because it doesn't go like in your usual chugging pattern, right? It was more like a kind of like a trap beat that was happening at the time. So it was just more unique in its approach and unlike anything else I've ever heard. Mind you, I do respect that, breakdown should hit you hard and should just go give you that stink face, but I can't deny the unprocessed.
Yeah, and Knock Loose, I think, got a shout out just because they, if a band calls out their own band name right before a breakdown,
Yeah,
Knock Loose, motherfucker, boom.
that's pretty hot.
Yeah, it was pretty hot though. But we ended up playing some rock, paper, scissors. I won. Jaluka Venom was our pick, and yeah, you should absolutely check out that song. Animal Noise of the Year. We had a great conversation about this one. This was a lot of fun to talk about. And essentially, we were down. I think we had a couple here. Ice Nine Kills with the whole fava beans and the sound that they were doing, but I don't know if that was necessarily animal noises. Left to Suffer with the whole ratatata, which I guess is like Pokemon noises, so kind of like animal noises. And Signs of the Swarm just have like this insane, crazy, kind of weird noise breakdown that rivals Lorna Shore with Amongst Alone Empty. But there was a clear winner for us, John. You remind me which one that was?
That was Slaughter to Prevail, just because the man sounds like a goddamn grizzly bear. I don't know how he does it. I've seen him fight a grizzly bear. I've seen a video of it. Not fight, just spar with them. But yeah.
Yeah, that man's
no
insane,
doubt.
man. And the noises that he makes, like this is the one song that stood out to me. Like if you say animal noises, like you say bear, I know a lot of people are saying like alligator. Regardless, if you're saying names of animals, that is the animal noise of the year. So Slaughter to Prevail with Viking absolutely takes it. So I think if I end the video right around here, guys, we are going to pick up our conversation around Vocalist of the Year. I apologize that this thing is all kind of mashed together, but if you want to get our true thoughts on it, please go to the podcast on Spotify or your favorite podcaster. Just look for Screams and Sorrow. But I'm going to go ahead and cut here. Back to the video. Thank you, guys.
Very traditionally skilled, and I would call them safe, right? Like I never hear anything too out of the blue, but everything you hear is kind of perfected. Chris Broderick, In Flames, In Flames are In Flames. I mean, like it's a standard. I never, same thing. I don't hear anything extra out of them. They are what they are. Manual from Unprocessed, obviously the big standout, right? Like the guitar that happens in here makes you question ever picking up 6 strings ever. Or 7. I don't know what they play with. But it makes you question ever picking up a guitar when you hear this kind of stuff. Mike Stringer, we here love Mike. He's someone that can do so much with so little. So much of the stuff he does, it doesn't sound like it's complicated, but you watch what he's doing and you realize he's he's doing some interesting things with the fingerings, and he's moving all over the fretboard. He's doing some
Oh.
interesting sounds, right? Yeah, that's right, baby. Who else we got here? The rest of them, I can't give you a strong enough opinion. Like Pale Dusk, Invent Animate, I can't give you enough. I've heard these guys, but not enough to study their guitar playing. Avenged Sevenfold, guys, just I can't with Avenged anymore after this new album. I love different stuff. I want different, but they were just lost on this album. I don't know what the hell they're doing on this one. Herman Lee, I feel like his time is gone. He's fast, not clean, but he's fast, and he's always made some fun noises. And the Boys in Periphery, I would put alongside Mike, which they do a lot. And sometimes it doesn't feel like a lot, but everything they do is sort of like well thought out. So I would put my vote between on two separate ends of the spectrum. I would put my vote between Mike from Spirit Box and Manuel from Unprocessed. That's where
Nice.
I'm kind of in between right now.
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna go through the whole breakdown. I'm just gonna add a little bit. Die from
All
Pale
right.
Dusk, I think, is just really, really cool because if you listen to Pale Dusk, they jump genres so much from
Mm,
metalcore to almost jazz and funk, and just kind of and the way they tie it all together just requires like just a special ear, I think, because it flows, it makes sense, but it's wild, it's crazy. I think if I'm not mistaken, Ishikanito is from Jaluka, and obviously they have a lot of crazy noises that kind of happen there as well. But I would have never, or I guess prior to this week, I had never listened to On Process before, and having listened to the entire album now about 3 to 4 times, my
mhm.
vote has to be for him because
Yeah.
it is so good. Like Mike kind of holds my heart a little bit, where like I want to vote for him
Yeah.
because no one does what Mike does, I feel, and it could be simple. The complexity he adds to simple parts and the simpleness he adds to complex parts is just so amazing. Um, but for me, it has to be Manuel, man, because I don't know, maybe it's just because it's new to me, but
Mhm.
it's on another level to me. So for me, it's
Yeah.
him.
Easy vote.
All right, let's do it. All right, moving on. Drummer of the year.
Dude, I'm not even going to like I just looked through this right before you said that, and I'm like, I know these bands, I know some of the beats, and then I saw one name that steps out here that doesn't have a band next to it. And if anybody else thinks that this is not the person who is the drummer of the year, nay, drummer of life. Like there's this man is a freak. He is an alien. I don't know how he exists. He is so charming and inspiring and just awesome. I'm gonna butcher his name. El Estepado Cebriano. Did I say his name right?
El Estepario Siberiano, maybe. I'm
Yeah.
saying it like in a Spanish accent. And
I was hoping, but like for people that don't know who he is, he's the guy that does like those. He's the guy that he has that logo with the skull, with the beard, and it's got the drumsticks behind him like X's. And he does a bunch of covers. He does stuff with like the simplest setup. He'll do one hand covers of songs that you struggle to do with two hands, the hardest grooves that you can ever think of. He is beyond belief, beyond amazing. I just stumbled across him and I thought he was just someone that I only followed. So to see him on here and to see so many people love him, the man is a true blessing. And it's not even something that you can even go, oh man, I can't wait to hear like the band he's in. Like he transcends bands. He doesn't need a band. This man is so amazing on his own. I could listen to a full hour of just him drumming. I don't need it surrounded by music. Just his grooves. That's all I need.
so he's interesting because he came popularity or gained popularity through TikTok, right? It's,
Makes
doing
sense. Yeah. I found him
those.
on Instagram, so yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, that's the old people's way of getting to like TikTok, sir.
I am an old person.
But yeah, he's insane, man. And like there's two people on this list who are rumored, which it seems like they're not rumored anymore, but they were originally rumored to be the new Slipknot drummer. One was El Estepario Siberiano. Um, and that would have been cool and insane because obviously I think like him and Clown, like they recognize each other, they've commented on each other's, things. They may have even done some work together. So some
Hmm.
people were thinking obviously like the man could play all of Slipknot stuff with one arm and one leg tied behind his body. Um, but Clown's own son, Simon, who's the
I noticed that name when you
yeah,
said clown. I was like, oh wait, I see his son's down there.
yep, drummer for Vended also. But look, we're not gonna take any more time here. I looked through it. I just want to shout out Luana D'Amedo from Crypta. This is a Brazilian band that does. It's more along the lines of black metal, but I just saw them live in Mexico and like holy shit, that band is incredible. They are so cool. They are so good. Definitely check them out. But I mean, my vote is for El Estapario. El Estapario? Is that how you say it? I don't know. We can say it like an American. El Estapario.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's insane, man. If you haven't seen his videos, you got to check it out. I'm voting
Yeah,
for him.
absolutely. Yeah, it's not even a question.
Ooh, vocalist of the year. This is a long list.
This is a toughie.
So interesting about like vocals of the year or vocalists of the year is like looking down this
Hmm.
list. There's a lot of vocalists who do different things, right? And they're all incredible, kind of like what they do. What stands out to me right off the bat is like Vessel from Sleep Token,
Hmm.
because he obviously does the cleans, he does the sexy, he does the screams, he really does a lot, and I think this year has been kind of the year of Sleep Token. I think
Hmm.
they've kind of fallen off of the radar a little bit, but for like the first half of the year, like Sleep Token was what anyone could talk about, and
Well,
I
it's,
think
it's 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 like with everything, right? It's a TikTok, right? They had that's their sexy breakdown went viral, and then that's what kind of blew them up the most, right? Everyone hearing that part, and yeah, of course it died down a bit because that's how the internet works. People get over shit really quickly, but I still think that once they do finally do like their big North American cross Canada tour and all in America, that it's gonna do numbers.
absolutely. Yeah, and I just want to call out like Ollie Sykes is on here. I don't think he's like the best vocalist in the world, to be honest, but he obviously does kind of jumps genre a lot, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Alex Terrible, obviously when it comes to the growls, does anyone really do it better than him? Taylor Barber has just been everywhere at this point. I think he's also been great, but like I gotta be honest,
Hmm.
Courtney LaPlante from Spirit Box is probably my pick because I don't think anyone else on this list evokes the same amount of emotion, the
Yeah.
same amount of uniqueness, but can do the cleans, can do the harsh. And I think one of the few vocalists on this list where no matter what the song was, I could pinpoint her voice. Um, and for me, that would probably be my pick. Very close second would be Vessel, but I think
Hmm.
what kind of wins it out is I'm not the biggest Spirit Box fan.
You mean the Sleep Token?
My bad. Sleep
You
Token
are the
fan.
biggest Spirit
I
Box
am the
fan,
biggest Spirit Box
just like
fan. I
me.
am not the biggest Sleep Token fan, to be honest. But
I
I mean,
appreciate, yeah, I appreciate Sleep Token, and I would definitely put them right there as the people I would think the guy that I would think would take the spot. But yeah, Courtney makes you feel something when she sings. You feel that every time her voice hits, and you know what I mean. We talked about the I don't remember that Megan Stallion
mhm.
remix thing, and like even then, like she shows you she can go anywhere and she can dominate that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think Cobra, the one with Megan, is probably the one that just kind of puts it over the edge for me. And I want to give a special shout out also to Kyle Anderson from Brand of Sacrifice because they released an EP this year between oh my god, what's the name between Buried and Sleep? I think between the Sleep and
Yeah.
Buried. Is that right?
Okay.
Anyway, they released a 4 song EP, and they are a deathcore band, but they do have a song on there where the choruses are actually sang, and he was singing, and he has a great voice. So I thought that was really cool because you don't really hear deathcore with singing in it.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, let's jump into bassist of the year. Does anyone stand out to you?
I'm sorry, guys. You know how it is with bass, man. It's like it's hidden all the time. I didn't know Dragon Force had a female bassist. I'm gonna go with just because I this is the song that I've heard most recently, and it's a band that I never listened to growing up, and now I feel ashamed because I thought the newest song was awesome, and the bass was very prominent and very well known and did a lot of cool stuff. And it's Nick Shins from Job from a Cowboy
All
for a
right.
Cowboy. So I only recently just started listening to them. Like I've heard of them growing up, playing shows, all that stuff coming to our town. I was never into that as much as I am now. But yeah, that new song of theirs, like even their old stuff, the bass is really right there. So that's only because the other ones don't really do much for me. So I'm gonna go with him.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how much shorter this list is compared to the guitarist of the year, but also a lot of bands, especially in metal, no bassist, which is really interesting. I think I don't really know too much. Amos Williams from Tesseract stands out to me. I listened to their
Yeah,
new
that's
song,
rocks were great. Yeah.
and that one was definitely one that focused. And prog metal does do that, where the
hmm
bass is a little bit more prominent
hmm
than other metal, which I think is great. I'm surprised that Process is in here because that album has some insane bass lines. So I'm a little surprised that they're not on here. But Nick Shins, hey man, I'll let you take it because I don't really have a horse in this race.
Yeah,
All
that's
right,
fair.
angriest song of the year. So just for the listeners, there's these are the bands: Forgotten, Chin Check, Thank You Again. Sorry, no, my bad. The Plot in You, Filth, Spite, Knock Loose, To the Grave, Body Snatcher, Kublai Khan, TX, and Harm's Way and Throne. The only song that I've listened from this list is Knock Loose, Deep in the Willow. And it has an angry breakdown, but I don't know if it's like an angry song. I know
hmm
that Body Snatcher is supposed to be like insane. But outside of that, I don't know. Do you know any of these songs?
No, I know that I would say it's between like quickly hearing them in the background. I would say it's between Spite and Throne. Um, Both songs are just like unrelentlessly aggressive. The only other song I would have like quickly jumped to would have been End, Gaping Wounds of Earth, but that song doesn't come to me as angry. It's just heavy as fuck. You know what I mean? So for me, it's between Throne and Spite. Um, I'm going to go with I'm gonna go with Spite because it has Phil Bozeman from Whitechapel, and anytime I hear that man's voice, I want to destroy a room.
All right. And Spite, that sounds like a very angry name.
It's pretty hate that
It's just like
it's the
there.
definition of hate, right? I'm spiteful, right? So
All right, sweet. So let's move on to Baddie Core Song of the Year, which I have no idea what Baddie Core is supposed to mean. So I,
looking at this, I feel like Baddie Core is like out of the norm, um, funky, little like hip hoppy. Like Attilia is up there, and they've kind of changed their sound. Poppy is like this goody two shoes girl that sings and then screams. Crosses is from Deftones, and that's like sexy music.
right.
Cobra, we've talked about that a million times. Like that song is it's kind of sexy metal, but it's also talking about like when you watch the video, like this is hot, and then you listen to the words, you're like, oh shit, she's got some mental issues,
Yeah.
like right. So like, I mean, I don't really know what the true definition of is of it, but I see where he's going with these nominations.
So the only ones that I've listened to are Sleep Token Rain, Spirit
hmm
Box, and Megan Thee Stallion with Cobra. I
hmm
think I've listened to the Hollywood Undead song Evil. And then Crosses, I listened to that entire album. I can't tell you which one Invisible Hand is. I know you told me like one day, hey, listen to this, and I did.
hmm
Um, so, it was very Deftones, very, you know, kind of moody, vibey.
Depeche
So,
Mode.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, again, I just have to go Spirit Box with Cobra because one of my favorite songs of the year, and I don't really know what this category is, but if they're on here, I think I need to vote for them. So,
I'm looking up what baddie core is so we can further understand what this is and might help us. Baddie core, a new music genre. Well, someone on Reddit's talking about it, and a lot of people are saying no, no, no. Sleep Token, definitely. Bad Omens, not so much because the songs aren't really. So it's about horny music, it sounds like. That's what some people are talking about.
okay.
Um, yeah, I don't know if that's true.
I mean,
The-
Crosses was definitely like maybe the horror. I don't know if the Spirit Box Cobra song is all that horny if you
It
listen
is
to
when you
it.
watch the yeah, lyrically, that's what I was saying. Lyrically, no. You watch the video and you obviously she's very curvy and very scandalously showing off the all of
Yeah.
her different parts. But the video by itself, but when I hear the lyrics, I'm like, no, this woman's got anxiety and a whole list of, mental health that she's dealing with, and this is how she's getting it out. Which I said when we talked about that song, I'm like, I thought was great to hear rap that's just not about making money or fucking bitches, or in this case some dick, or maybe both, I don't know. And yeah, it's just nice to hear about that. But if my definition of baddiecore is what I think it is, and just because I'm really feeling crosses right now, I'm gonna go with crosses.
All right, Crosses it is, man. I'm not gonna fight you on that one because if it's definitely along those lines, I would agree with you for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, catchiest chorus of the year. And I have a clear horse in this race. So I'm going to be curious to see what you think. But I'm just going to go through them real quick because I think the listeners
Yeah.
would be interested. The Devil Wears Prada, Reaching, Bring Me the Horizon with Dark Side. I am shocked that Dark Side is on here versus Lost. From
Mhm.
Ashes to New, Nightmare, Nothing Nowhere, Venom, The Word Alive, One of Us. The next song is Silent Planet with Collider, Boy What, Neon Tide, Make Them Suffer with the song
Boy,
Ghost
what?
of Me, Imminence, Desolation, and the Amity Affliction with It's Hell Down Here. Now, I kind of mentioned how Bring Me the Horizon. I'm surprised that Dark Side. I did not enjoy that song. I think it's the weakest of the ones that they've released so far, with Lost being the clear favorite and one of the catchiest. I mean, it literally rips off My Chemical Romance. How could
It
that not be
is. Yeah.
catchy as hell, right?
Yeah.
So just for that, I'm not voting for them. Silent Planet Collider, interesting song. The chorus is definitely catchy. And Imminence is a band that I've fallen in love with this year, which is a Swedish metalcore band, but they have violin in it, which
The lead singer does the violin.
yeah,
That's the thing too, right? Like that's what they're kind of on to.
yeah. So I mean, and Desolation doesn't stand out to me as kind of like the catchiest chorus out of the songs that they've released.
See where you're going. I see where you're
So
going.
so look, I'm putting it out there. Make Them Suffer with
Yep.
Ghost of Me
Yep.
is in my top 5 songs of the entire year. That
That song is
chorus,
so hype. That
dude.
chorus, it's not just the chorus too. Like, unfortunately, it has a little bit of an advantage because the whole song is just tight as hell. Because it goes into the Mortal Kombat, right? It does all that stuff. And yeah, the chorus is great, but it all works together. Yeah, but it's this song without a doubt. Like, I'm upset that they do not have a full album yet.
And
Like, let's go, guys.
I do
Let's
think
go,
it's I,
man.
I do think they have something planned for like early next year. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that they just changed recently, whether this year or the previous year, the kind of the female vocalist slash guitar piano player, which I don't know what that instrument is called. Um, and
Guitar,
Yeah, is it Keytar? Is that what it's called?
guitar.
That's
Yeah.
funny. That song, man, I can't like to this day when I put it in, I get chills. And when it has that slow down where it's just her singing with no
Oh
instruments, with
yeah.
the slow build up, and they come in with the screams, like and the way like that to like in my head, out of everything here, I'm hearing that chorus and I'm like I'm already getting chills, literally just thinking about it. So for me, it's that song.
Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome. Feels are reals. I'm assuming these are songs that make you feel
Deal.
something. I
Yeah.
also have a very clear one here, but I've been talking a lot, so what do you think, John?
I might have to give this to you because I don't have a clear one here. Like Beartooth has definitely done a great job on this new album, making you feel something. It's so positive, and but so dark at the same time. Like you can hear him kind of coming out of a light. Imminence, I'd have to double check which song that is, but also makes you feel a lot. Holding Absence has made me feel some stuff as well. And then Sleep Token is more just like a vibe. I don't know if it's like that something I feel, but it's just something I kind of just settle into. So I'm stuck on this one. Like, what where are you kind of leaning to on here?
So I know that Sleep Token Taking Back to Eden is going to be the clear winner of this category because from what I saw from every reactor out there, and I didn't react to it to myself just because, like, I'm not the biggest fan, so I didn't want to put something out there that didn't necessarily kind of vibe with people. I know that everyone was crying to that song, and I remember listening to it and being like, okay, I get it. Like, this is full of emotion. It makes sense. Um, Come Hell or High Water from Imminence. Interesting, I think, pick again for Imminence here because this is one of their hardest songs, in my opinion, with like some of the craziest kind of screams from him. I
Mhm.
didn't get the emotional piece out of it myself, but I can see it, and especially with how like the the violins and the chorus kind of play into it. That is definitely meant to kind of pull some emotion. Out of all of these, though, the one that made me feel the most was honestly Beartooth with "I Was Alive," and that song specifically, it's kind of poppy, it's positive, but it is, essentially his funeral and him talking like, "Well, I was alive, I had no regrets." And when you listen to it in the context of the album, um, the album is all about acceptance and accepting himself, and the story that you go through to the album as you get to "I Was Alive," before that you have like, "Never Doubt Me," you have um I can't remember the other songs right now off the top of my head, but anyway, it kind of goes along the line, and "I Was Alive" just kind of really stands out to me and has a very catchy chorus. "Sleep Token" I think is the obvious winner here and probably what most people are voting for, so we could be boring like that and go for that because it is an emotional journey, that song. It's a long one too, but "Beartooth" is the one that stands out to me.
All right, let's go with Beartooth.
Boom. All right, listeners, don't hate us.
Huh.
All right, best metalhead to follow. This one's interesting. When I saw the Elder Emo, I got excited for a second because
So did I.
as
I was
the
like, oh, who's that?
the Elder E monk, I was just kind of like for a second, like, is that me? Oh no, shit, that's not me. Um, the ones that stand out to me, the Red Herring. You should definitely follow him on Twitter.
This is all you, dude.
Yeah, he's the one who posts all the new releases for metal that are happening. He does so much information about what's being released, what new things are happening, all that kind of stuff. Definitely a big shout out to him. The Elder Emo, more of a kind of funny account, if you will, just about emo shit, which obviously I vibe with. And I don't see, aside from Anthony Fantano, who is, he does reviews and stuff like that, but I don't really vibe with his feedback. So for me, I just have to get a shout out to the Red Herring because honestly, when if you guys follow like video game stuff, there's a dude called Wario64 that you follow to get all the deals, all the inside information, all the trailers as they come in. He's literally posting things 5 seconds like before they go live. It's insane. To me, the Red Herring is becoming that the person that I go to know what's being released, what should I check out, what new bands are out there, everything. So I got to go with the Red Herring.
Hmm. Huh? Let's do it. Let's go with him. Like I'm not in that scene. I don't follow a lot of that stuff. So yeah, go for it.
All right, best metal content creator. You in this at all? You want me to give you a bit of a breakdown?
I can speak to the only two names I know, which are the top two, Jared Dines and Tank to Tech. Jared Dines, long time not follower, but like here and there. And I think what he's done with that musician's mansion, that's pretty cool. Like no one's ever done anything like that. I feel like he's the biggest metal content creator. Like he is, I don't know, insert name of YouTuber here, and that's what he is for metal. But I would say you introduced me to this fella. Tank the Tech. Since we saw him at the Electric Callboy show, ever since I have been following him, and I do really appreciate his like just I've always appreciated transparency in everything, and I feel like metal is one of the places where you don't get it at all.
Yeah.
At all. So he does not hold back. He tells you everything you need to know about everything. He has his own opinions. He's not secured down by anything. And I like that. So just because of how much I appreciate that, I'm gonna say Tank the Tech.
Cool. Yeah, Sunfire's on here. She's a lot of fun because she does like drum covers and stuff like that. But she's also just kind of very goofy and likes to have a good time. But an awesome drummer. I think her content is very creative and very funny. Hardcore Keem, I want to give a shout out to him. Another reactor out there. He um he stands out because I put myself in this camp along with many hours, but we tend to kind of react to like the bigger stuff, the stuff that people know because that's typically what audience kind of want to check out. Not a lot of people look at reactors for new music. They look at us to kind of be like, oh, I really like this band. I want to see what this person thought about a song that I really liked or really hated, right? Hardcore Keem does so many like smaller or bands that we haven't heard about, where I may post, eight known bands and two non-known bands. He's like the complete opposite of that. So he definitely deserves a shout out for that. Plus he's just funny as hell. Like just the way he beats up shit in the background and the way he moves and talks. It's entertaining, but he's obviously very knowledgeable, very great. And Finn McKenty, someone else that I follow, who really people love to hate him. And that's because he's a little older. He comes across as a jerk sometimes, if you will, but he kind of feeds into that shtick. But when you look at his proper content, where he's breaking down the fall and the rise of certain bands, or talking about like what happened to new metal, or giving his opinions on newer bands or bands that people love to hate, he always gives an honest, unbiased opinion, and he never takes side. And even if he doesn't like something or he makes fun of something in his videos, he's very objective, very informative, and I respect him a lot for that. I think he's great, but Tank the Tech is my boy. Tank the Tech is my
Yeah.
win just because. And if you don't follow him, I recommend everyone to follow this guy. He has been a roadie for most of his career. Now he's doing tour management. He did the tour managing for Electric Callboy. He was like guitar tech for Powerwolf, and he's worked with a lot of big bands. And like you said, the best thing about him is in his videos, he gives you the non-nonsense take, right? He will get permission to name names. He will do his homework. He will give his opinions, but he will tell you what's happening on in the background, what things cost, what they don't cost, what's happening to bands, what's really happening behind the scenes. And he's just a fantastic guy to follow, and getting to meet him was definitely a highlight of the year for me. So Tank the Tech is definitely my pick.
Mm.
All right, let's go through these, I guess, a little quicker now. Best metal news source. We got Loudwire, Metal Injection, Lamgo, Alternative Press, r/metalcore, Metal Sucks, We Are the Pit, Rock Feet, State of the Scene, and Revolver. I don't know who the best metal news source is. I think I get most of my stuff from Metal Injection, although I hear that they are very kind of clickbaity and don't really give you the whole story, but that's honestly what I get the most of my news from. We Are the Pit does a lot of fun like TikToks and stuff like that as a state of the scene. But yeah, I don't know. Metal Injection would probably be my pick.
For me, like I used to go through all of these sites in my younger days, constantly, right? Like looking for the news because, like, again, it was never transparent. Hard to get a lot of information. But I spend most of my time on Reddit. That's where I get a lot of my stuff from, and that's where I'm gonna go with r/metalcore. It's a great community from everything I've interacted with. They bring up albums. People come on there, do AMAs. I don't know how often they break news is the only thing because it is community driven, but I find it better than the other sites because you can actually have a conversation, whereas the other comment sections of these other sites you can't really have that. And I don't know if that's on the news source themselves or the communities, but Yeah, I don't frequent these sites anymore. To me, it's I stick with the subreddits, and the fact that a subreddit is on a best news source, I feel like deserves a shout out right there. Whether you want to go with Metal Injection or whoever, I feel like there's special note in having a subreddit on a news source nomination.
Honestly, you won me over with Community, so
Yeah.
metalcore it is. All right, music video of the year. This one for me is hard. Um, So Electric Callboy, every time we touch is just a song that I love and it's hilarious. And the fact
Mhm.
that Kevin is what I assume was the woman sleeping in the bed and the way their bromance is on full force and just how much fun they're having stands out to me. Pale Dusk Rumble is another one that's just an insane video with like it has literally like anime breakdowns. It has just random changes. Like it is a crazy video. Tesseract War of Being is very cinematic with like the samurais fighting, the world's like destroying everything. Ice Nine Kills Meet and Greet is essentially Silence of the Lambs, and Ice Nine Kills does extremely well done cinematic, representation of these movies in their music. But Falling in Reverse with Watch the World Burn is something on another level. And I know love people love to hate on Falling in Reverse, but the way this song ties together the lyrics and everything that's happening, the production value, from the laptops falling on Sebastian Bach's head, from the Star Wars inspired, scenes, to the ending where he goes full bright burn and just burns people to shit as the world is being destroyed. Like, to me, that is the music video that I watched this year where I was like, holy shit, every 20 seconds. And for me, that would be the winner. But what do you think, John?
I'll let you have that one only because I don't watch a lot of music videos. My vote would have just been Price on Kills because everything is an a tribute to the horror movie that it's about. This one being Silence of the Lambs, and they've done an amazing job at of what feels like to be. I know they have a bigger team behind them than what it seems, but if it feels like they have a really small team and they're kind of like making these little indie horror flicks. So to me, it's always Ice Nine Kills, but not you make a great point about Falling in Reverse. I haven't seen it. It sounds like there's a lot behind it. So yeah, I'll let you go with that one, but I definitely think honorable mention to Ice Nine Kills.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think those two bands provided the most cinematic, I think, versions of music videos out there. But yeah, for me, Falling in Reverse is probably the one. Like Ice Nine Kills, watching it, like I thought it was cool and everything, but the Falling in Reverse one is just like every time you
Mhm.
watch it, you're just like, holy shit, what am I watching right now? Like this is insane. The best blah, blah. Um, so we got Jaluka with Venom, which that is one hell of a blah. I know you haven't listened to it. Deadlands
Let me
House
just
of
stop you
Cards.
right there. Let me just stop you right there
What
because
happened?
this is
What
a
happened?
recent song. This is just a recent song that came out,
Okay.
and
This
it's
is where
broke the internet. It's
this
broken the internet with like best breakdown of the year, and actually, it wasn't up there on the breakdowns, which is crazy. It's gonna go with Architect Seeing Red.
All right. I'm not even gonna fight you on it. I was kind of making my I was warming you up to
This
get to that part. Is it Brand of Sacrifice? I want to give a special shout out because their song Blinded is also like insane. It has a great blah. Jaluka and Deadlands House of Cards, also great blah. Jaluka would probably be my second pick. And but Architects, yeah, I think that's it.
awesome.
All right. Breakthrough Band of the Year. This one's a fun one because I am torn between two, specifically two loves in my life. The bands
I
are
already know what yours are.
Vexed, Better's Lovers, Face Yourself, Vended, Love Is Noise, From Joy, Deadlands, Jaluka, Alt, and Unity, Texas. Deadlands is great. Jaluka, I've already talked about a lot about how much I love them. Alt, amazing song that they released. But the two that I am stuck between, and I'm going to need some help with, but I think it's not the help that I want, is Face Yourself, which these guys are probably one of the hardest working new bands that are out there right now. They have released 3 EPs this year. They have been consistently keeping themselves, in the limelight. They have been growing and growing and growing. They have their first live show. I know that they're going to play in New Jersey in January. and they're just taking, deathcore and really refining it, making it cool, making it fresh, and putting in the work. Love this band. I've reacted to them a whole lot. For me, they are a breakthrough band, but Better Lovers is on here. And Better Lovers came onto the scene and blew my fucking mind. Probably one of my favorite EPs of the year. I'm torn. I'm torn between these two.
I know you like Face Yourself a lot. For me, it's Better Lovers without a doubt. I will admit that the first single off their full length is fell flat for me. It did feel like an Every Time I Die B track, but that EP is similar to the Spirit Box EP, where it is too strong. It is just unfair how strong it is, and yeah, while the other bands are it's nice to see kind of like up and coming bands and breaking through as the title suggests. I've seen Deadlands pop out a lot, and I think they're great as well. I've seen all these bands pop up, and they're definitely doing good numbers. But Better Lovers, to me, it's kind of not fair too, because Better Lovers is a super group. But I'm sorry, but they rose from the ashes. You know what I mean? They somehow married both Dillinger and the world of Dillinger and the world of Every Time I Die with a little bit of Will Putney in there. And yeah, it goes so well. And as long as they can continue that fluidity of the mixture of the two, with it sounding still like them. Like I said, the first song off the new album, which I assume is a new album, it fell flat for me because it felt like, oh, it's Every Time I Die with the dude from Dillinger leading it. The EP didn't sound like that, so I just hope we get more of the EP and less of Every Time I Die. I love Every Time I Die, but this is not them. So continue with the progress we've seen so far.
Yeah, so you said something that's very important for me, and exactly kind of what I was thinking about. Like, Better Lovers essentially is Every Time I Die with Dillinger Escape Plan and Will from Fit for an Autopsy, right? You called it a super group. It is a super group. These are some of the best in what they do, coming together and making amazing music. Even though out of the 5 songs that they've released, let's be honest, 2 of them fell flat, like you mentioned, right?
Yeah,
I'm not going to say Face Yourself has, hit after hit, but at the same time, this is a band that did not exist pre 2023.
that's true. Yeah, and they've
And
been out a lot. Yeah,
they've been grinding, they've been working, and they have been working on material for their respective bands as well as this group. And for me, when I think breakthrough band, that to me really kind of shows someone that went from no listeners to, and I'm gonna double check right now, but they have, definitely a respectable amount of people considering the amount of time that they've been out, which is less than a year at this point. They have 72, well, pretty much 73,000 listeners.
their
That's
top songs
insane.
almost 500. They have almost 500,000 plays on some of their top songs. Yeah, I got to find out what that trick is, because my band's working on our upcoming EP, and like I know how they're doing it. I
It's
gotta figure it out.
it's the grind. It's the conversation starters. It's having a conversation starters. It's having a single that obviously took influences from what bands like Lorna Shore was doing at the time, and really kind of made a name for themselves. And yeah, man, it's insane. So I have to fight for Face Yourself on this one, just because even though Better Lovers, in my opinion, came out stronger, if you
Mhm.
will, they had an advantage
Yeah,
that Face Yourself had
they,
an uphill
they had that
battle.
audience right there already. Yeah,
And also, Better Lovers kind of has that prog kind of hardcore style, which I think is more accessible than
that's
just
true too.
straight
Yeah.
up deathcore, right?
Mhm.
So I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna say it. For me, it's
I'll
Face
give it to you.
Yourself.
You make some valid points. I'm just like looking at their EPs and like, yeah, from the releases of these to what they have now, like to have 3 in the same year, that's insane.
All right.
Mind you, I'm sure they were sitting on them. I'm sure they didn't plow these all out in the studio as they released them, but you can't deny that each one has been doing the numbers. So yeah, we'll give it to them.
Boom. All right. Face Yourself. Thank you. I appreciate that, John. Thank you so much. Label of the year. I mean, all the labels are on here. The only one that stands out to me is Sharp Tone Records, just simply because as a
Same.
reactor, they've been amazing, honestly. By just communication wise, supporting, and they've been signing some amazing bands. They just recently signed Comeback Kids from Canada, which is pretty cool. So Sharp Tone for me kind of stands out more than any of these other ones, simply because, like Century Media Records, for example, they stand out on the opposite end because they block all my shit. Like they block everything. So
So
like
they're
I'm
off the
sorry,
list.
they're off the list. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, and they hard block my shit too, which means like no one can watch it. So it makes it very difficult. So Sharp Tone is for me just because hey, they're a great label to work with.
Hmm. Yeah, well, let's go with Sharp Tone. Like, I always appreciate the smaller labels. So definitely we're gonna go with Sharp Tone on that one.
Awesome. All right. So I think we are getting very close here to the end. Song of the
Big
year
ones.
is a
Mhm.
crazy amount of songs. Should I go through all of them?
Yeah. No, we're gonna jump on the what like our top picks, I think.
All right. So I guess take a minute to look at this list. Name me your top three. I think I
Yeah,
have
I
mine
mean, like,
already.
there's a bunch of great bands, but like as much as I love Ice Nine Kills, Meet and Greet is not a top song of the year. It's another Ice Nine Kills song, unfortunately. Make Them Suffer, definitely a great case to be a song of the year. I'm between Make Them Suffer, A Ghost of Me, Spear Box Jaded. That's gonna be a hard one to beat. And yeah, I think like out of all these songs, those are the only two songs that I can hear in my head and go like, yeah, those songs I can hear constantly playing over and over. And I'm sure other people will have opinions about the other ones, but it's a tight tie between Make Them Suffer and Jaded, and I'm leaning more towards Jaded only because of how strong that EP is. What do you think? Maybe you can kind of help break it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So standouts for me are Blessed to Fall, Wake the Dead, which is like one of my favorite metalcore songs of the year. These guys essentially came back from the dead and released a single this year, and it's one of my most
Hence the
listened
name.
singles to the year. Just love
Mhm.
it. Um, Corpse with Bring Me the Horizon, Code Mistake, surprise collaboration that worked so good. That was really, really interesting to see, but I haven't listened to it a whole lot. I just really like that first listen. Um, Slaughter to Prevail with Viking is just one hell of a powerhouse of a song. Bring Me the Horizon with Amen, great song. I'm still shocked that Lost isn't the one that's on here. Falling in Reverse, I think, is probably going to be a top contender. Uh, and Make Them Suffer, Ghost of Me is, I've already mentioned, one of my favorite songs. Spirit Box Jaded, also I like it, but it's not my favorite off of the album, which is kind of what hurts me a little bit. Ultraviolet
Mhm.
being my favorite, but I understand why it's not like the top song on here. Jaded is definitely a very close second. So I mentioned a bunch of them, and the only one that you and me are on the same page about is Make Them Suffer, Ghost of Me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, honestly, that is looking at this list, that is probably my song of the year.
Alrighty then, we are doing it.
Boom. All right, make them suffer. Look at that. EP of the year, we have Face Yourself with Tales of Death. Again, I talked about Face Yourself. So I'm not going to go through it again. Brand of Sacrifice Between Death and Dreams was earlier this year already on my list for Album of the Year or EP of the
Mhm.
Year because it is another one of those EPs with four incredible songs that you can play on loop, and it
Mhm.
never gets old. It's great. Better Lovers, God Made Me an Animal. Again, when I listen to that, I'm like, this is EP of the year as well. We mentioned, one song didn't hit, but that's fine. It's not a bad
No, no, no,
song.
no,
It's
no,
not a
no.
bad song.
The one song that didn't hit is not on the EP. The one song that didn't hit me for me was a single that was just released, which I think is from their full length. So if
Oh,
there's a song that hit for you, you're fucking crazy.
okay,
Because all the
okay,
songs hit for me.
okay.
I was
And
talking about a single.
and we did do a review of the Fear of Fear, calling it a 10 out of 10 EP experience.
Hmm.
So again, I love Face Yourself, but I'm gonna be honest. Between me, the top three of this, and Atreyu, I'm surprised that people like. I'm gonna be honest. I'm surprised people still like Atreyu after Alex left that band. They've gone kind of into like that dad rock territory that it just doesn't vibe with me. And as a big like early Atreyu fan, it hurts.
Hmm.
It hurts my spirit. But I understand they can't make the same kind of music that they did. But
They have some catchy tunes, I'll give them that, but
yeah,
I would never put them on any of the year lists at all. Even to be honest, even at their strongest, I still wouldn't have considered them that. Like they were great what they were. I would never consider the band at all for any of that stuff, unfortunately.
yeah, I agree with you, man. So for me, between the three, there's Brand of Sacrifice, Better
Hmm.
Lovers, and Spirit Box. And here's where I definitely feel like I have to go Better Lovers.
Oh, it's a tough call. Better Levels and Spirit Box told me that you can have an EP. To be honest, EPs that are albums of the year for me, like those, both of those EPs to me are the best albums of the year because I can't think of any album that makes me feel what those felt. I'll I'll I'm not gonna fight on it because like they're both winners in my heart. I'll give you Better Lovers for the vote because it was the one that came out first and it was the one that made me think, holy shit, this 4 song EP is better than every 10, 11, 12 song album I've heard so far this year. So I'll let you have that one. But Spirit Box is also a winner. Those these are the only, and I should give these other EPs a chance as well. But to me, those are the only other EPs that can combat albums of the year for sure.
I'm with you, man. Like Spirit Box, Better Lovers, both of those, they're like on the same level. But yeah, I think Better Lovers. At the end of the day, I just have to go off of what do I have on repeat more often. And as much as I love the Spirit Box album, Better Lovers is one that to like till today I still put on.
Hmm.
So I have to go with that one. Album of the year is
A big
crazy.
one.
There's like
Yeah, this is.
50 albums on here, man. Like this is
I mean,
insane.
there's a lot of strong stuff, and I'm surprised that people click with Avenged Sevenfold's new album as much as they did. Again, I admire what they did, but I don't think it worked personally. Just to kind of scratch out a few. Always loved August Burns Red, but they are to me the definition of just like they are like your Lamb of Gods. You know what I mean? Like you know what you're going to get every time. You're gonna get a spiced up version of what they did previously, but it is the same. It's great. It's tight. It's awesome. They can't really move past it. They've done a little bit, but it is what it is. Silent Planet has been raved across the world. It's like that. That's definitely a notable one.
But I didn't vibe
I
with the album too much.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like I know a lot of people have noted it. I would never put Metallica anywhere. Like I have so many problems with that album, and I like new Metallica. Like I love Death Magnetic. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, when the first
so
single came out from Metallica, I was like, "Oh shit, are we getting?" Are they
yeah, I thought we
finally
were.
giving? And then they released two more singles. I'm like, "Nope, nope, they're
Nope. Yeah.
definitely not." Yeah.
Tesseract is a strong one. But there's a lot on here. I would definitely have to go with what I think is solid from front to back, and it's hard to put it under metal album of the year. Um, I gotta say Beartooth. Because to me it is an extremely well written album. It's very tight. Production is just clean without sounding over polished. The vocals, I think his name is the vocalist is Caleb, right?
Caleb. Yeah.
He the Beartooth is that fine line between pop and metal. It is a very fine line because some of the stuff he does you would hear out of more of a pop singer, and he has a voice that when he does something, he does like the Christina Aguilera type thing. You know what I'm talking about? Like that kind of stuff. He does that, but he does it in such a way that it doesn't sound lame. It just sounds like when its song was like I feel never felt like this before, something like that. It's a very sexy song. Like the guitars are very sexy in it, and it's almost like, oh no, sorry, the song's called "Think I Might Love Myself," and it's
Okay.
got so many good hooks in it. And when he does those kind of trail offs, it's almost just like he's so into what he's saying that he has to do this kind of like to kind of get it all out. It's not like in the pop singers where they're singing over their pre-sung chorus and just kind of over singing themselves. This is all a part of his normal vocal pattern. It's not something that's separated from it. So yeah, there's too much done right in this album for me to not say of the year. And I'm not saying it is my favorite album of the year. I definitely listen to it a lot. I'm just saying like out of all the options we've been given, I would definitely put them at the top because it's just front to back. It's just that's so much. And I'm not talking about it like it's writing, it's production, it's presentation, it's design. I'm talking about everything when I'm talking about album. And I'm not just talking about, oh yeah, the songs are good. Everything about it to me stands out.
Yeah, no, and I can't argue with any of that. I mean, it's interesting because I think more of the EPs stand out to me as
Hmm.
albums of the year.
For sure,
Uh,
that's what we're saying, right?
Dying Wish, I want to give a shout out to because they kind of gave us that old school metalcore that I like.
Hmm.
We talked about how like the second half of the album kind of trailed off for us, and I think that kind of
Hmm.
hurts it. But definitely one worth checking out. Um, Cattle Decapitation, which is death metal. They put out a fantastic album, and I know this album because my 9-year-old son loves death metal. So this is
Atta
one.
boy.
This is one that we listen to. Sleep Token, I think, is one that's going to be on a lot of people's lists. Again, it didn't speak to me, but I respect it,
Yeah.
and I think it does have album of the year qualities to it, from the
Yeah.
production to what they do. The songwriting is so strong in that album. Shout out to Johnny Booth with Moments Elsewhere. That album is just kind of like that hardcore punk rock with metal influence vibes that is just punch you in the face, so good. Baby Metal, just it's not album
I
of the
love baby
year,
metal, but
but
they're not album of the year.
you
It's
gotta
it's a
love some
fun
baby of
album.
the album. It's a fun
Yeah.
album, but it's definitely
Yeah, it's
not.
just fun. That's all it is.
And Left to Suffer with Feral is another one of those. I thought it was more of an EP, but I guess it's a full album. I think there's only like 6 songs on it, but at the same time, that is one also that I've listened to on repeat throughout the year, and I think it's really good. Beartooth is one that I love the singles more than the album, to be honest.
Mhm.
I still tend to listen to the singles more than like the entire album, but the singles are so strong, and Sunshine is still one hell of a ride with one of the catchiest choruses of the year, with that hardcore breakdown but acoustic chord. Like it has everything, and to me, I love songs that just do so many different things and make it entertaining and fun.
Yeah. They
Um,
change the status quo on like what you're expecting.
Absolutely. And then just another shout out to Polaris Fatalism, especially them releasing this album after their guitarist Ryan passed away, and continuing doing the tour and everything. Great songs. And it's definitely been like heartfelt just because it's the last album that he released before passing away, which is just insane. And the album is actually really really good. If you haven't listened to it, check it out. So going through this list, I'm going to be honest, like none of these.
Yeah.
Veil of Maya was Mother. I know everyone was talking about this being album of the year, and I can see why. And this may be my pick. Um, but you going with Beartooth, and you've given me a few already, and this is for everything that you said about the album. You're absolutely right. From the production value, from the singing, and more than anything, that there was a clear message and story arc for this album. And this is the first time. A lot of metal can be depressing or it could be angry, and to get something that it still hits hard but is all about positivity core, I think is something we need to kind of hear more of. This is an album that you can put on when you're feeling down and be like, you know what, I'm not alone. Like, people are going through this shit too. And this is something that reminds me, like, hey, that's okay. And I
Mhm.
think for that alone, it's definitely, worth consideration. And if you feel strongly about it, sir, I will vote for it.
All right. Throw the votes in.
And that is it. That is, I believe, all 20 categories. I'm going to go ahead and click submit now. And our official uh, picks for this year are down, man. Hey, that was a lot of fun. I had a lot of
Yeah.
fun with that one.
I there's a lot of stuff I need to go back and listen to now, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think more than anything, this gives us a good kind of roadmap of things to catch up of during the holiday break.
Hmm.
Cool, man. Well, thank you again for watching. Let us know in the comments what you guys thought. Would you have voted for these bands? Who would you have voted for? What did we miss? Because there's a lot of bands in here that we didn't talk about just because we hadn't listened to. So we'd be very interested to hear what your picks are. And yeah, we'll check out the results and maybe have a follow up episode real quick just to, kind of go through those and see if we got any of them right. That would be a lot of fun to do.
So, man, let's do it.
All right. Well, thanks once again. And yeah, we'll see you next
Take
time.
care. Rock on.